Okay, just a little update from yesterday. I got those pipes put into place, but one of them was about 1/4 of an inch too long. I guess somebody mismeasured when they were figuring it all out. So I had to dig out the trusty old Bauer wheel one more time and take about 1/4 of an inch off of one of the pipes, making 7+ cuts with the Bauer wheel. Now, on a side note, it's worn down pretty far, and if I hadn't been cutting so close to the end of the pipe to begin with, I wouldn't have been able to fit the tool in there. And also, it finally gave up and the edge busted off of it there, so it's fixing to find its way to the trash, but not after doing twice as much work as I thought it would. It was really a good deal. We're gonna pick up where we left off on Thursday with these testing these cutoff wheels. A quick reminder, this one is the Warrior brand from Harbor Freight, about 65 cents a piece with the coupon, 85 cents a piece regular. That's pretty accurate. Almost made 2 complete saddle cuts on this 2 7/8 oil filled pipe with that disc before it was too small to use. Moving right along, we then switched to the Bauer brand, which sell for a slightly higher price. They're about 99 cents a piece. You got to buy a 10-pack, of course. I made a total of 7+ cuts with this Bauer disc before I busted the edge of it. I got it kind of tangled up, and so I quit using it. But I probably could have gotten another cut out of it if I would have really been stingy with it. But when I started this video on Thursday, I was going to test all 3 of these, but I got so much mileage out of this one that I never got around to using the Hercules. And the Hercules is the most expensive out of these 3. They're $10.99 for a 10-pack, so it's $1.10 a piece, you can figure. And we're gonna try it out right now and see if it's any better than the Bauer disc. Seeing his first impressions count for a lot. Here's a side-by-side of the amount of wear that was experienced after that first cut with the Hercules disc. I can tell you right away, right off the bat, it was slower. It took about 4 minutes as opposed to 3.5 with the Bauer to get through that first cut. And I noticed several times that the disc was hanging up in the material and it was nearly stopping the tool. So there's something going on with it. It's not as free spinning. I don't know if it's the backing on it is a little rougher or something, but it seemed to be awkward compared to the Bauer disc. We'll move on and see how many cuts we can get with that first Hercules disc. After 3 cuts in with the Hercules cutting wheel, the disc doesn't appear to have worn down too much, but it seems like it's taken a long time to make the cuts, and it's laboring the tool quite a bit. It could just be that this little 5-amp grinder isn't quite up to the task with that disc for whatever the difference is between it and the other ones. So I'm going to switch to a heavier grinder and see if it makes any difference with it, and I'll let you know. So the Hercules disc did work a lot better on a heavier tool, but it's a little awkward having to hold the paddle switch down while you're making those cuts. It's a lot easier. But this other one's got the little switch there that you can just push up and it stay in position. And if you look here, you can see that I wasn't able to work the contours quite as nicely with the heavier cutter, because it requires two-hand operation and you can't guide the pipe as well with your other hand. But after 4 complete cuts, the Hercules disc still probably has at least 50% of its usable wear left, so it's holding up just as well as the Bauer disc. Hi, sweetie. All right, there, after 5 cuts, we've done 5 of the saddles. This Hercules disc is probably still 40 or 50% of its usable life left on it. It's wearing down, but it's holding up fairly well. I did have to switch to the heavier grinder because the lightweight one that I used with the Bauer wheels, it was getting real hot and the disc was sticking in it. And I don't know if that's because of the disc or if there's something going on with the grinder. So I switched to this one and it is working better. Okay, so something that I've learned here. I was making the 6th cut with the Hercules wheel, and I got almost all the way through this pipe. But if you look here at the head units of these 2 different grinders, you'll see that this lighter weight one on this side has a much smaller and more contoured housing to it. This larger one prevents using the blade to make the tight cuts that I need to make on that pipe. What I'm going to do is I'm going to switch the Hercules disc back onto the lighter weight grinder so that we can complete this cut and hopefully get 1 or 2 more out of it, because as you can see, there's still considerably more usable disc left than there was on the Bauer after 7.5 cuts and after the almost 2 cuts with the Warrior. Alright, I completed the 7th and final cut with the Hercules cutoff disc. If you look here, you'll see that the Bauer disc has a slightly larger overall diameter or circumference or whatever you want to call it. Let's see, there we go. I had to quit using the Bauer disc after 7.5 cuts because I busted the edge of it. I never broke the Hercules disc, but after just 7 cuts, I had worn it down to its usable extent. After careful consideration, I can tell you that the Warrior brand discs, which retail for $8.35 for a 10-pack, they're about 85 cents a piece. You can get them for 68 cents a piece with a coupon. They didn't hold up very well during this comparison. I was able to get almost 2 cuts out of them before the disc was no longer usable. The Bauer brand disc did real well. I made 7.5 cuts out of it before I damaged the disc and took it out of service. If I hadn't damaged it, I probably could have done 1 more cut with it. The Hercules brand disc also did a good job, but being the most expensive, I was a little disappointed that I only got 6 cuts out of it before I had taken it down to the point where it was no longer usable. But for all intents and purposes, the Bauer or the Hercules are okay. I would recommend the Bauer and take that extra $1 and either give it to the guy standing on the corner or drop it in the collection plate. That's it for now. Y'all take care. God bless.